Okay, we have completed the digestion until large intestine and included the pancreas and the liver. There is a lesson after that, digestion and absorption and uh, after regulation, after the lesson liver that we have learned last week. Regulation of digestion in man is the next lesson. Okay, regulation of digestion in man we have done when we are learning these hormones, gastrin, cholecystokinin, secretin. These are the main hormones, and these hormones responsible for the regulation. So we have listed exactly what is the role of these hormones, basically 3 hormones, in regulation of digestion. So again, it's summarized in the notes as regulation of digestion in man, that we can leave and we can start components of the diet, balanced diet, nutrition, and what are the main nutrition and why they are important to us is the lesson we are going to learn, and that is come under the title balanced diet. The lesson title is balanced diet. Okay. So when we talk about the balanced diet, the main components of the diet is carbohydrate. If we look unit 2, biological molecules, we have learned about carbohydrate, monosaccharide, disaccharide, polysaccharide, their structure and their functions, everything we have learned. Now in this section, what we're going to learn in addition, the carbohydrate is the energy source. It's a main energy source of the body. That's why we eat carbohydrate at least 3 times, lunch, breakfast and dinner, to maintain the right amount of carbohydrate. So we have learned on the pancreas, we have to maintain certain level of glucose in the body. Right? So we have to maintain certain level of the glucose in the body, and when we eat this glucose, one is going to the liver to convert as a glycogen, and the rest stay in the blood, and from the blood it goes to the cells, because every cell need glucose to produce energy, because every cell is live and these cells need energy as glucose. So then the blood is the reservoir. So blood can maintain right level, so certain amount is going to the liver and store as a glycogen. And then glucose level maintained in the cells, and then blood glucose level is constant, and we have learned insulin can distribute glucose to all the cells. right? So this is the energy source of the body. And there is another one. Another function is protein sparring effect. So what is this a protein sparring effect? So if we have a correct amount of carbohydrate, so right, correct amount of carbohydrate prevent protein used as energy source. Protein are not used to get energy when there is enough carbohydrate. If you look 2021 structured question, you can see they ask what is protein sparing? It's tiny things, but we not much pay attention, but we missed it, right? So if we really look what is the come under the carbohydrate, they have given it is energy source, and second effect is given, second function of carbohydrate in the body, protein sparing effect. That means protein is not break down if we consume enough carbohydrate. It is given like that way in the resource book. I mean, the protein are not used as energy source if we have enough carbohydrate. So this is asked the last exam, what is protein sparing effect? So that's why I told you sometimes tiny things which may not be focused, but at the end we feel I have seen this, I know that, but I don't know exactly how to explain. So that's a tricky things. We can't skip anything. We have to go with all the things to learn every little things in the lessons, right? Carbohydrate as an energy source, provide glucose for aerobic respiration. And another second effect is if we have enough carbohydrate, it prevent protein use as energy source. Now, how we explain this? It is like this. So think about the aerobic respiration. So aerobic respiration, you have learned glucose convert into pyruvate, and this pyruvate enter into the Krebs cycle, tricarboxylic acid, citric acid cycle, or Krebs cycle. And at the end, what is the product is ATP. Now, why we learn this? Because this is the main pathway of the cell to produce energy. Then, if glucose is not available, glucose is less available. For example, if someone is like this is a hunger strike. I think you have heard about this hunger strike. So they don't eat. They don't eat. First day, nothing. So if they don't eat anything first day, their glycogen level is also zero, because glycogen is enough for only 24 hours, 12 to 24 hours. Now you can understand with our general knowledge, you take a breakfast and you take lunch. That means you provide glucose after 4-5 hours to the body. So the glucose level can maintain maybe 4 hours. That's why we eat frequently 3 meals. So 4 to 5 hours, the glucose level can maintain with the diet. Now you skip meal, you skip lunch. If you skip lunch, glycogen can convert to glucose and again maintain. Now glycogen is also over. Glucose is also over, glycogen is also over. Next day, when the next day comes, fat and protein start. The two other respiratory substrate are fat and protein. But we haven't learned in respiration fat and proteins, how they are feeding to the system. We don't want to learn that one, but we know fat can serve as an energy source, and protein can also serve as an energy source. But according to the syllabus, we don't want to know how protein enter into this cycle and how fat is enter into this cycle. So they provide energy by running this cycle, the aerobic respiration. Now, if you confused or if you want to know how fat can still do this job, I will tell you one example. What is a fat? Triglyceride. Triglyceride made out of glycerol and fatty acid. Example, right? Glycerol and fatty acid. Now, fatty acid can break down into 2 carbon molecules and they can enter as acetyl-CoA. So you check your notes. After link reaction, acetyl-CoA is going to the Krebs cycle. Right? So you remember fat and protein are the energy source if carbohydrate is not available. So we call here the protein sparring effect. If we don't eat, or someone is trying to diet, someone is skipping the carbohydrate, then body is using fat and proteins as energy source. So that is somehow not good, because we can't reduce our protein inside the body. Protein is important. Right? So this is the 2 main function given as role of carbohydrate. It's an energy source and protein sparring effect. So if we don't eat enough carbohydrate, proteins start to break down to produce energy. Okay, that is carbohydrate. Next, proteins. Right, what would be the main function of proteins? Main function of proteins we can list: growth, repair, production of hormones, enzymes, and antibody. Okay, we know what is hormone, we know what is enzyme. Antibody we will learn in the future. That's an important component in the immune system to to fight with the pathogens. Growth, repair, production of hormones, and we can also list it is an energy source if we have no carbohydrate, then it can also provide as an energy source. Growth, repair, production of hormones as energy source. Growth, repair, production of hormones, energy source. Okay. Right, next, when it comes to proteins, there is another subtopic is coming up, something called essential nutrients. Essential nutrients. So this appeared as a separate lesson in the notes, but we can consider at this level the protein as essential nutrients. Now, when it comes to essential nutrients, why we use this term essential nutrients? It is because of this. Okay, now how many amino acids existing? There are 20 amino acids. There are 20 amino acids important to produce proteins. Now from this 20 amino acid, when we take proteins, this protein will come from the plant, this protein will come from animals. At the end, protein break down into amino acids. This amino acid absorb. Now from this amino acid, body can produce new amino acids. So body can synthesize amino acids, but there are amino acids cannot synthesize. So if amino acid cannot synthesize, these are called essential. They are called essential amino acids because body cannot produce this amino acid. Now, what are these essential amino acids? So let's try to understand this word private. Tim Paul. So we are not learning all 20 amino acids, but in the resource book it's given methionine, and leucine. Methionine and Leucine is the amino acid. So these are the two amino acids given, but there are other amino acids: proline, valine, tryptophan, proline, valine, tryptophan, tyrosine, isoleucine, histidine, arginine, leucine, and I can't remember that last L. So at least these two you need to remember. Methionine and leucine are the essential amino acids. But there are other type of amino acid we can't synthesize. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 around. We consider 8 to 10 considered as essential amino acid body cannot synthesize. So we have to take from externally, most probably from animal source. So animal source, we can get this essential amino acid. But someone is a vegetarian, I think a little bit risk, because plants can't provide all essential amino acid unless the person is eating many different plants food. The person has to eat many different plant food. But if you take the fish or meat, then it gives the essential amino acids. So these amino acids cannot be synthesized, and we have to take from outside. Okay. So summarizing: proteins, growth, repair, production of hormone, enzyme, antibodies, and we have essential, it comes as essential nutrients because some amino acid cannot synthesized. Example, methionine and leucine, and there is a list 8 to 10 amino acids we have to take from externally, mostly animal origin. So being a vegetarian, it is a risk because vegetable cannot provide all the essential amino acid. Then there is a little bit of a problem to face the infectious disease because body need enough proteins when there is an infection, because excess amount of protein produced as antibodies. For that we need a lot of amino acids. I think if I remember 2021, again asked in the same place, write 2 essential amino acid and why it is called essential amino acid, like a structured question. Why it is called essential amino acid? Because body can't produce that, so we have to take from externally, that is essential amino acid, and write 2 essential amino acids, methionine and leucine. I didn't look the marking scheme, but I don't want to bother about marking scheme because resource book use methionine and leucine, so we have to use these 2. But they are also essential amino acid. But if maybe they are not listed, even there are 8 to 12, they are not listed, then we are in a risk. So what is in the book, we list 2, then we get the marks. but I will check whether they have listed the rest of the essential amino acid to give marks for this case, right? Okay, next, lipid. So fat is again served as the energy source, and also insulation. So now we write insulation. How do we explain this insulation? Many people, they say fat act as insulation, but they don't know how to explain why it is important to become the insulation. It is like this. If we take a human body temperature, 37 degree, our body temperature is 37 degree. Now what is outside temperature? Outside temperature is, let's say 25. What's the difference? 12 Celsius degree. And what is the direction of heat loss? 37 to 25. So this is heat loss. Now heat loss is disadvantage. Because body temperature is decreasing, then we need more energy to maintain the 37 degree. So to prevent heat loss, we have a good adipose fat layer under the skin. So it's called, as we learned from tissues, it's adipose tissue, adipose fat. This acts as a barrier, then less heat is moving out. The less heat is moving out of the body because of this barrier. So this is the insulation. So that's why people with less fat, they feel more cold when they go to a cold place, because they start shivering if they don't have a lot of fat. So there should be a right amount of fat layer in the body. If we lose food for a few days, that can provide energy and also insulation. Okay, and other one is storage of lipid soluble molecules such as vitamin. So lipid soluble vitamins you can remember as KADE, KADE. So these are the 4 lipid soluble vitamins. It is important to store this lipid soluble vitamin, and fat can doing this, storing this lipid soluble vitamin. And C and E, BCE water soluble. No, B and C, sorry, B and C water soluble. This KADE is lipid soluble. Energy, insulation, storage of, and to make the steroid hormone. Estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone are the steroid hormones. So fat is important to maintain this hormone level. Again, essential come under the essential category. The essential nutrient, like in amino acid, fatty acid also essential and non-essential fatty acids. Essential and non-essential. So essential mean body can't produce. So we had take from outside. Body cannot synthesis take from outside. And the names are not given, so we don't want to remember the names of essential fatty acid, but we can remember there are fatty acid which is essential, cannot synthesize, and this non-essential body can synthesize from other fatty acids. Okay. Then another very important thing that can be asked always, MCQs and other type of questions, vitamins. Now, when it comes to vitamins, in the old syllabus, they have quite a lot. Like every vitamin in the body, and their names, different names, and their functions, and what happens if they are not available. It's everything goes there. But now in new syllabus, it reduced a little bit. We are going to learn only certain extent the vitamins and their deficiencies. Okay, now coming to that, lipid soluble. Some are lipid soluble vitamins. So we list them as K, vitamin K, vitamin A, D, and E. What is the main function of vitamin K, vitamin A, vitamin D, and vitamin E are very important. So let's moving after that C and B water soluble later. Now when it comes to vitamin D, so vitamin D is very important absorption of calcium. I think you know we get sunlight enough, and sunlight can convert certain precursors into vitamin D because sunlight fall onto the skin. The sunlight can convert some chemicals into a vitamin D. And you have heard, if people do not get enough sunlight when they are small age, like very young age, they don't get enough vitamin D and they live in the dark, their bones are getting different shapes. Why is that? Bones need calcium, sunlight make vitamin D absorb calcium. So they work together. Vitamin C and calcium work together. So absorption of calcium is very important. Vitamin D. And this disease is called rickets. It's, I mean, we are not learning all the disease, but just, Maybe you heard they get special, the curve-shaped bones called rickets. It's common because when they don't get enough vitamin D and calcium. Then vitamin K. So vitamin K is important in blood clotting. So blood is liquid. When there is a damage to the blood vessels, blood is leaving as liquid. Immediately, there is a solid mass form, we call it clot. In the next section, circulatory system, we have to learn blood clotting, and I will exactly tell you where vitamin K is important. So we have to learn blood clotting, and I can tell you where is vitamin K important. So, but like this way, we can increase the memory. Okay, we learn blood clot, and here it is important, and vitamin K is important for blood clotting. I think vitamin A. So, if I ask you, if you don't get enough vitamin A, what is the problem? So, with the general knowledge, yeah, the something called vision is impaired, right? So, vitamin A, yes, vision is impaired. It's affect the vision. That's why it is the parents, they know much better. They say eat a lot of green leaves, otherwise you get a little bit of a bad vision. So this is important for vision to make the pigments. These pigments we can see as photoreceptors. So we don't have photosystem like plant, but we have photoreceptors, eye. And it is also important for immune system and also growth. So generally the night blindness is a very big problem, especially in developing countries, because children, they lack vitamin A, they develop this night blindness and impaired growth. Okay, next, vitamin E. So where do you see vitamin E? A lot of people are talking about sometimes vitamin E. So which kind of a products include vitamin E?